Hi guys, welcome to another FPL video. In this video I'm going to show you my latest draft. Obviously not many days to go now of tinkering. We've had quite a lot of information. Obviously there's a few things still to be finalised. Lukaku I believe his arrival at Chelsea is imminent. They're just finalising it all, and obviously the Harry Kane, we're still not too sure what's happening with him. So, but with only a couple of days left, we're getting to the stage where we need to sort of start finalising our teams, pending obviously any kind of team news that comes out on Thursday, I think it will be. So you can see on the screen there's a couple of interesting defenders that have emerged over the last couple of days. Two £4 million who look like they're both going to start the season. So I'm going to give you my views on those two. And what I will say is that neither of them are in my draft, and I don't think they'll be in my team either. And I'll go into the reasons why. So to talk about Tsimikas first. Now, for me, I think people are getting far too overexcited about him, because I saw a quote from Klopp today, I think, basically saying that Robertson is only going to be out for a few weeks possibly, and he even said he may even come back before the international break. So that's 2 or 3 games? I think, there's 3 games, isn't there, before the international break. Now, interestingly as well, for Liverpool, if you look at their fixtures, the third game is against Chelsea. Now, I would envisage that there's a possibility that Milner might play that game, because Klopp might want some more experience, because it's a big game. So if he does, then Tsimikas is going to get 2 games, potentially, before Robertson returns, and then he's just a dead player in your team. So I'd be really mindful of that. Now, if you use an early wildcard, then it's fine, obviously, because you can just address these issues with players that become non-starters, which is fine. However, what I would say is that my advice to people is to keep that wild card for as long as possible, because after 2-3 game weeks there's just not enough data at hand to come to any kind of meaningful analysis on who are the players to get, who are the form players, who's most likely to carry on their form, fixture swings, things like that. There's just 2 or 3 weeks, you're just not going to get enough information. Whereas after 7 or 8 game weeks, that's a reasonable sample to draw some conclusions from. So I would really advise is just do not use that wild card. Just keep it in your pocket. Keep it for at least the first 6 weeks if you can. And so the same goes for Amati. As far as I'm aware, Evans is again only going to miss a few games, I think, and also I think Leicester are looking to buy another centre back. So basically what I'm saying is these sorts of players, yes, they're cheap, and they enable funds for you to spread around elsewhere, but at some point in the near future they're going to become headaches for you. They're going to become fires to put out at a time when it's highly likely that other things are going to take priority. So many times when I've had a duff player that I really want to change, but other things always take priority. And of course the other issue with Tsimikas is, there's a few issues with it. So firstly, do you really want to, if you've got Trent as well, do you really want to double up on the Liverpool defence? I don't think that's a good option personally. For those who have Salah and Trent, and there's a lot of people who have those, having Tsimikas then blocks other options such as Jota, Mane, Firmino, maybe even, So yeah, he takes up a Liverpool slot. It's just, for me, it's just best to avoid these sorts of players. It's a short-term gain, but in the long run, they just end up giving you a headache. So yeah, it's, for me, I won't have any of these. They're tempting because, yeah, you have these two. That frees up a lot of money, but you've got to think about the long-term game. It's just, it's a marathon, this game. It's not just about the first few weeks. So that's my thoughts on these two. I won't be having them. So let's go through my team. This is my current draft. I've got Sanchez in goal. I have played with the idea of maybe spending another 0.5 and getting a Meslier or someone that maybe makes some more saves, stuff like that. Because one of the criticisms I've seen levelled at Sanchez is he doesn't make many saves. I don't quite know why that is. Well, perhaps it shows that Brighton's defence is pretty good. But at the end of the day, it's all about the clean sheets are the bread and butter. I quite happily take him getting 6 points than conceding and getting a point for making 3 saves. I'd take the clean sheet. And Brighton's fixtures are pretty good as well for the first 6, I think. So I think I'm going to stick with Sanchez. Trent, he hasn't left my team since my first draft. Liverpool's fixtures are great. He was great towards the end of last season. Van Dijk's back, so Liverpool's defence might potentially be a bit stronger than they were last season. I'm still not 100% sure about that though, because Van Dijk, is he going to be the same player? We don't know. And there are certainly arguments for not having Trent and using the money elsewhere. But for me, I think the fixtures are quite key. He's in my team. I'm not going to move him. I've got Shaw. I've only just brought him in. I think I can't remember who I had in place of him, but I've brought him in now. I didn't have him because I thought there was some talk about him not being fit and possibly not playing the first game. But I saw that he played the friendly the other day against Everton, got an assist, looked pretty good, looked quite fit enough to me. So he's in. United's fixtures are good. Now, what I'm going to do with my other defenders, if you'll see there that I've got 3 4.5s. I've got Veltman, White, and I've got a Watford defender. Now, someone posted something on Twitter today. I thought it was quite interesting. And it was that I think Watford got something like 8 clean sheets at home in a row towards the end of last season. Now, I know it's the Championship, but shows that their defence is at least half decent. And Watford's fixtures are good. If you look at the fixture ticker on Fancy Football Scout, they're amongst the top there for the best fixtures over the first 6. So I think a Watford defender could be a decent option. I don't know whether I'll stick with Rose. There are other 4.5 Watford defenders as well, but I'm not 100% sure on. I know Rose has been a bit injury prone in the past, hasn't he? So I might look at one of the other ones. I'm not sure, but what I will be having is a Watford 4.5 defender. So Veltman, Rose, and White, and I will just rotate. So Shaw and Trent will start every game for the foreseeable, certainly as the fixtures are good for the first 6 or so for both of them. And my third defender will be whichever of Veltman, White and Rose has the best fixture, who is statistically more likely to get the clean sheet that week, depending on who they're playing. And again, if you have a look at one of my other videos where I talked about using bookies odds, this is where I'll be using that. It's just going to be a case of, right, because these 3, obviously none of them are going to likely to get assists. So it's going to be purely about the clean sheet, and I'm just going to be going with who the bookies fancy the most for a clean sheet. I'm not even going to overthink it. So going on to my midfield, I've got Harvey Barnes in now. He's a bit of a newcomer. I put him in yesterday. I was listening to the FPL Wire yesterday, and they were talking about him, and it got me thinking about him. And apparently the Leicester forum, there was people talking about him and really bigging him up, saying he's their best player at the moment. And if you remember last season, before he got injured, he was on fire. And I think Leicester have got good fixtures. He's only 7 million, which I think is a decent price. I fancy him to get some points over the first few games. I've got Greenwood again. I think he's going to start, at least for now. If he does become an issue at some point, from perhaps, I don't know, game week 3, 4, whatever, when Rashford's back and Sancho and that, and then I'll have to review that. But I think it's worth having him for now, because I think he's nailed for at least for the first game and probably the second one. And he is that good. He's that good a finisher. And again, United's fixtures are good. He scored the other day in the pre-season game, so he's in for me. Salah, no-brainer. Not even going to overthink it. He's been in my team since the start, and he's been captain since my first draft as well. Liverpool's fixtures are great. He often starts the season quite well as well. And also, I'm a Liverpool fan. I just, there was times last season when I didn't have him, and watching Liverpool games was quite an unpleasant experience. Sort of, wanting us to win, but wanting Salah to not do anything. It was just a bit of a nightmare, really. So yeah, I don't want that headache. I want to be able to enjoy watching Liverpool matches. Now I've got Gundogan in as well. I think he's gone under the radar, and I think he's been quite overlooked. 13 goals last season. He's still only 7.5. So it's fairly cheap still. He's been playing pre-season, he's fit, he's been scoring, making those runs into the box that he was so good at last season. And a lot of people, I think, are going to want City, or at least one City player for the Norwich game. So I'm going to have him in now right from the start. So I've already got him, and I wouldn't worry about Spurs away either, because let's face it, Spurs' defence is nothing to shout about, is it? I would fancy him scoring in that game as well. So yeah, I think come the Norwich game, there's going to be a lot of people looking to get City players in, but I would just want to be ahead of the curve there and already have him in, because my intention is to carry the transfer over after the first week, and I have 2 for game week 3. So yeah, he's Gundogan is in for me. I'm quite happy with him. Fernandes, yeah, he's in for now. I have toyed with the idea of going without him, because I do think that the new rulings around the penalties is going to affect him, because I think United will get less penalties than usual, because I think they're looking at, basically the new rules are all to do with things where there's only like a minor touch that they're not going to be given as penalties, like the Sterling one for England, for example. So now that's not to say they're not going to get any penalties. Of course they will, but I think they'll get less. And there was quite a few times last season, and the season before, in fact, where Fernandes would get 3 bonus points on the back of his penalty. So I do think that potentially his points could be impacted by this new ruling, and there is certainly value, I think, in not having him. But for now, he's in for me, because one of the reasons that I am going to keep him is because I don't really know what I can do with the money. Who am I going to sell him for? There's not... Because I've got, I think, a lot of the other good options already. I could get Mahrez possibly, but I don't know. I've already got Gundogan. And what would I do with that 3 million? yes, I could upgrade this dead player, this 4.5 striker. I could have a Wilson or Watkins, but then I've got 8 players and I'm going to have to bench one of them, and I don't really want to be benching a sort of 7.5 million pound player. So yeah, for me, I'm just going to keep Fernandes, I think, for now, but I think there is certainly a possibility that I might sell him at some point, depending on how things develop. So I've got Tony, bit of an unknown quantity obviously, but yeah, Brentford's fixtures are pretty good, and this is using all my budget, by the way. I just can't afford anyone more expensive than Tony, just purely because of what. Now obviously what I could have done is I could have perhaps had a Marty or Simicas instead of one of these, which frees up another 0.5, but as I've already explained, I just don't want the headache of those 4 million guys in my team, because they're just going to become problems, I think. So yeah, I think I'm quite set with that. Antonio, yeah, he's a bit injury prone, which is a little bit of a concern, but if he gets injured then I'll just have to sell him. But I think he's worth having whilst he is fit, because we know what he can do when he's fit and he gets a run in the team. He's looking quite good in pre-season. He scored the other day, so I think he's in for now. Yeah, just going to keep him. So that's my draft. Yes, there is potential that I could change it again, but there's only a couple of days left now. So that's my latest draft. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, then yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. Do appreciate it. It helps me to build the channel. And so yeah, thanks again. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Cheers.